Hi everybody and welcome to a new episode of Afterthoughts. My name is Wim Winters and tonight we are actually, for the case you're watching this much later, the 3rd of February 2016. So I've recorded tonight Mozart's Sechs, Deutsche Tänze, dance music on clavichord, obviously. More on that in a second. But some announcements. First, the recording of the 6 partitas, Bach partitas, on tape and on vinyl, on records actually. That is something I will be doing probably from next month on. So we have 4 partitas on YouTube now. No, 3. The 4th one is coming soon. I don't know when. It will be recorded, I think, this week, or it's Thursday, no, it's Wednesday, maybe this week, but probably next week, and released somewhere in March, I think, because we have done Mozart now for the 10th of February, then for the 20th of February, I have a selection made from Mozart's Notenbuch, so his very early young works. Then I have a Mozart sonata, G major, the 5th one of the München sonatas, also the 5th one of his sonatas. That will come the 1st of March, and probably the 10th of March will be the 4th partita. And then we have to do the 1st one and the 6th one, and then on YouTube they are complete. I will start, however, recording on tape with the partitas in the midst of that. So probably the 4th one will go first and we see how it goes. And we will record the partitas in bits and pieces. So every day we will record one part. I think that's very good possible because the music is in my head, so I won't lose the connection with the other parts. And actually it's very nice to do because it enables me to focus really on that particular part. And as I see the YouTube channel, it's fun to do. It gives, as I said before, often it focuses me and it grows my repertoire, and it feels great and I love doing it. And I play for you the music only when I kind of master it. But I see it as my 85% channel, you know. But I think by just diving in more, and that's I think what I should do when I make recordings, and certainly on tape and vinyl. I mean that's really high-end solution for music recordings. I really want to dive deeper in it and go more in detail even than I do here. So I call that my 95% recordings. So that's 10% margin, that's lots, but we'll see how it goes. One of the things that really I would like to do, but I don't know if that's possible, is when we're doing the recordings of the partitas to go live stream on YouTube. Again, I don't know if that's possible because I really need my attention for the recordings, but I feel that it would be great if we could technically do that, and that I just schedule my recording schedule ahead, not too much because I need to be flexible, but that at least some recording days you could actually be witnessing the recording of the partitas live streaming as we do it for the tape and for the vinyl recordings. That's something that probably is coming up. What's coming up also is the live streaming. I want to figure it out how it works. YouTube has enabled me, so to say, to make live stream because I have plus 1,000 subscribers. So if one way or another I want to make use of that, practicing hours maybe. I am practicing a lot on the instrument, so why shouldn't there be not some moments where you could join and maybe with an interaction, could interact, maybe ask things when I'm just playing or doing stupid things, and you could ask me why and I could directly interact. That would be great. There are other things coming up, but that's for later. Okay, Mozart Sechs Deutsche Tänze. Mozart wrote these pieces rather late, 1787. So Its Kachelversagen is 509. And he made this in Prague as I read the description here in the Neue Mozart-Ausgabe, the original score was lost during the Second World War, I think. So they made a print from a copy, from a photograph, actually, photographed copy of the original score. And it is, as they say here, contrary to his usual working habits, Mozart apparently wrote out the piano version first and then the orchestral score. And this may perhaps explain why he used the technically incorrect term minore for the trio movements, but the correct term alternativo in the orchestral version. So what I understand from this short introduction here is that you have 6 dances. They are connected with a small, so to say, improvisation, which he gives, and Mozart asks in his orchestral version to repeat the first part, so the maggiore part, and what he calls here the minore part, but it's actually the alternativo part. So you have to play it twice and then go to the small bridge and then play the second one. I've experimented with that a lot because we're used to this minuet trio kind of things where you play the A, the minuet, you have the trio, and you go back to the minuet and the piece is ending. But here you play the trio again, so to say, if you compare it with the minuet. And that gives a very odd feeling at the beginning because you have the feeling that you're repeating something that has been said already. But if you leave that out, the piece feels too short. You can do it. If I would play it on a concert, I would never make all the repeats. But here I thought, well, let's do it as Mozart intends to do. Anyway, you can only use his improvised bridges from the one part dance to another if you continue from the alternativo part, so the second part. And then you have only 2 options, or you don't repeat the maggiore part and you only play it once, so you have A, B, A, B, A, B, or you play A, B, A, B and then go to the next one. And I choose for this recording to do it exactly as Mozart is, and actually it gives a nice feeling, I think, at the end. It is so wonderful music. I mean, maybe we forget this kind of dance music too much, and at least for me that's a fact. And it's a kind of showpiece. Technically it's not, so to say, very difficult, but it's difficult in a way to perform it. I mean, it's not complicated to find it out. I have not written fingerings, what I usually do, but you can play it very well if you practice it a few hours. But then to play it more or less clean, that's not easy. So it makes an impression as really virtuoso, and in some cases it is, but generally speaking, this is music that you can play very well. And again, on the clavichord and Mozart, I know that I read the reactions and that my instrument can handle it. I mean, if you start in the beginning, it's really strong in the treble. There was a small, or actually a kind of discussion, a good discussion about the clavichord when I posted the 5th Partita. I did it also in the harpsichord group. And there was an interesting discussion how a clavichord should sound. We actually don't know how the instrument sounded in that time. There are not so many unfretted clavichord preserved. And I believe that this works so great on the clavichord, on this clavichord, that, yeah, maybe the instruments in the 18th century, and let's assume that people like Bach and Mozart choose for the best instruments, that they could handle this music in a way. I mean, if you have in the 5th or the 6th one, it's really like Immanuel Bach says, you have angreifen, that the clavichord should be able to really be a kind of aggressive and then be very gentle at the same time. So for me this makes sense. Really also seeing the time, 1787 is the time where Mozart tried to buy this Doles Silbermann clavichord in Leipzig. So this really makes sense to play it on clavichord, also for Mozart. Pianoforte obviously was in Vienna growing fast, but I don't think that the clavichord was at that time, late 80s, was forgotten, and it works great on this instrument. And obviously you can do it on pianoforte. So, should I highlight some elements? Just because we've talked a lot. Okay, just beginning. I first played it like this. And later I realized that there's an 8th note in the bass, which is great. It's like a trommel. And then the jump, sometimes it goes wrong. Just take the risk. And I try to have a very strong accent on the first beat. It's 3/8 normally, not a too fast bar structure, but here I think you can have a kind of allegro assai, kind of presto feeling. And then beautiful. Nice to emphasize some of the bass part elements, and it gives a kind of polyphonic feel. And then a strange passage here, but beautiful and unisono. Really dances the instrument. So, and here, interesting. Actually, if you see the notation, you won't see it, but you can look it up, and the Neue Mozart-Ausgabe, I think, is free online to be seen. So it's written 32nd note, 16th note with a dot. So that's actually, in my field, a short Vorschlag, short appoggiatura, I think, in English. So that's something we have to dive in later. What to do with this short appoggiatura. There's a lot to be told about that, but here, later, Mozart, he is writing out in full the short appoggiatura, which could mean that when you have the ornament, that is meant as a lange Vorschlag. So, we come back on that. Also some projects I have in mind on that. So I play it as a short Vorschlag, which means that you have the short note on the beat, but actually the accentuation is on the second one, which is almost impossible to do. So make them very, very short. And almost together. So very nice modulation. And then it's continuous, and then what he writes actually is he writes just crossing the hands, and I really don't like that. He could switch, I think, from one brain half to the other, but I'm just a normal human being, so I play it like this. So it's easy to do, but yeah, very nice also. Then the bridge, and then also very Mozart. The bass part is, as I feel with Mozart, always important than all classical Viennese music and actually all music. But here, if you play it, just stops on the left hand. It gets less the feel of. So you. Okay, also very nice here. Probably these right bows, and they're probably meant as legato bows. It's impossible to play on the keyboard. On the clavicle certainly. On the pianoforte you could use the sustaining pedal, but on those early pianos, and the one that Mozart owned, the sustaining pedal is only giving some color. It's not the same function with the later pianos. So, but that's when something is unplayable to my mind, to my feel. Very legato. I just make it. I break the notes. Probably had the instrumentation already in mind, and then the contrast here. So suggesting a kind of legato singing structure, and then genius. And then this one, I play the left hand rather short, so the instrument, technically speaking, is not sounding very well, but you get this liveliness, of the instrument. And then nice also then the bass note here comes as a long note, and which makes a contrast. And then legato. Also here, when you have these long notes in the bass, I try to keep the rhythm. By shortening the first. Bridge. They're interesting because Mozart writes you can improvise them, and he provided his own improvisations then, so to say. So that might be an indication how Mozart improvised. And brilliant here, and very so to say, very joyful. The trills are added by me. They're written longer, but I just played as an accent. And keep tension in the bass. That's what makes the dance movement. Always the finger hand, the left hand, sorry, and then. I'm playing the whole piece again. That's so nice to play, and really you have to jump and you have to take the risk of playing wrong notes, but that's not what that's about. You have to jump, bum, bum, bar, and then the contrast. Actually, there's no triller. I play it without trill now. I make a trill. And I try to make a kind of crescendo. And then these small notes like this. With candlelight. The bass is getting away. It's too warm here, but no problem. Too small. So like this. And also try to try to come on this first beat. And then I played it like this. But then I saw the bow, and the bow makes sense. It's so nice not to play the ground note. Just leave it like that, and it's so. Here I omit the trill because you have this kind of imitation of the left hand. Bridge. Also here the notes in the left hand are a bit longer. You can do it, but I just change it. Actually he's doing it himself from here on, 8 note, and maybe you want to count. It is possible, of course. And then big orchestra. And notice I really play strong accents on the highest notes, and that's wonderful on my instrument. And I'm sorry that I love this instrument so much I can't keep my mouth still on this instrument, but it is great that in this forte character that it's allowing you to do that, and you just push a string a little bit too hard and it's yelling, so to say. But if the resistance of the string is, I don't know if I say that correctly, but it's big, it's great, it's good enough, then it sounds like a trumpet. Sounds it's not really a trumpet, but it's really a harsh accent, and which is great. Dum bum dum. Okay, and then here. That is really fortissimo, and yeah, it feels great to play it here. So it's actually difficult. I mean, my clavichord, my instrument, is sometimes, and it's rightfully so. I mean, this instrument is built to fit in this whole stream of historical formed performance practices, it's old music movement, and so it has to find its place. But I realized that instruments, and also the instruments that yours is built in general, it's not about loudness, it's just about resistance, I think. I mean, when you... I don't know many clavichords on which you can do this. And so the question is this fitting into an historical stream of instruments, or just is this a modern addition? And it's hard to believe that's modern, because all elements are old, and yours obviously is very... I must just say, it wouldn't do anything that is not in line with what the 18th century would have possibly be doing. But yeah, I don't know really, and I'm not apologizing for my instrument. I just wake up, open this instrument, and I like playing on it so much. And you understand the questions from, is this an historical kind of clavichord sound? If I play this music on that, and if they back then have played that music on clavichord, their other instruments must have sounded and felt a bit like this instrument, because if the treble would fall completely down, as many clavichords do, and also many historical clavichords do, it's difficult making a good treble, yeah, then this music is not possible. Today I read Partita w. Bach about that, and coming back on that, as I said, there's some project going on, but that's for next time. And he says that the instrument, the good clavichord, really enables the player to use all his force without the instrument going to yell, so to say. But that's between brackets. And then here the chords are wonderful. Piano, and now crescendo. This is something that you really can do. I think you can do it on the pianoforte, but on the clavichord, listen. This is great. I mean, that gives a schwung to that music. These short notes, it's so incredibly short. You give energy and you go out of the key. Of course, you have to hit the tangent really sick and really good. But when you give the energy and you push your hand out of the key, actually gentle, it looks more brutal than it actually. If you really notice my hand movement, it's not that much, but it's with a lot of speed and energy. And that's... So yeah, that these kind of things, amongst others, makes this, that I'm so happy with this instrument. I mean, yeah, what would I be with when we didn't have the possibility to do things like that, really. Okay, but then, and a beautiful ending. Piano. Sounds very virtuoso, and I can imagine if I know many of you are very professional players, but I do know that there are some of you watching that sometimes put the question for how do you play this or this. Well, this sounds, and this, as you watch this, seems to be more difficult than it is. What you should do is have your impact of energy at the beginning of the bar and just keep it and go with your arm weight only to the next note in the next bar. So you play it from one movement in one bar. And then if you manage to go with your arm weight from bar to bar, it's only a kind of microstructure, micro-articulation that you have to do within, and then really divide your weight. And of course you have to hit the right note in the bass, but don't worry about that. Just hear the note in advance and your finger will play it. Don't try to play it, because your motoric feeling is only able to hit the right note when you hear it, or when you in advance know that it has to go there. So trust on your motorics. Let your motoric feeling, that's at least how it works with me. Let your motoric feeling connect with your ears and with also your eyes, who are projecting the next note to play. So from the C to the A to the F. And sometimes it goes wrong with me also. And also here, add to the crescendo. And listen to the bass. So actually, technically speaking, all those notes are over the top. They're played too loud. But it gives a kind of distorted sound, which also on a tape recorder is great to listen to. And here again you have this kind of orchestral feeling. That's great in an instrument that just by impulse and by touch actually can change from sound instead. That's dynamic range. I mean, listen, that's friendly. If your instrument was only capable of rendering this, I would say no, that's not your instrument for this music. But instead of. And on the bass I can even do more. So, excuse me very much for being so enthusiastic about my instrument. I can't just be silent on that. Okay. So, next time, Mozart again. Very young pieces, partly on request. Mozart Sonata, we do the Partita. And there is new work from Kostas Papazaferopoulos. I actually cannot keep track with the speed that he's writing in. So he has written a C minor sonata, G minor sonata, variations in theme and 32 variations, which he's working on at the moment. And he has finished an F major sonata, which has incredibly beautiful passages. So I definitely am going to play that. The middle section of that is really top level, and the first part actually also very strange. He's really looking for the borders within that style. Third part, fourth part, I mean, that's coming up with a live stream with other elements, and that's something we are going to talk about later. I will use the afterthoughts at the beginning, maybe a few minutes, not as long as today, to just announce and to share with you some ideas. So, and please do leave comments, give me hints, give me ideas, and that will be great. So thank you for watching this very long episode. I hope you can use something up of it and you enjoyed it. And thank you for subscribing, for sharing this video with your friends. And we see each other, of course, next time. Okay, bye.